Have you ever wondered if some relationships actually hold you back as you get older? Turning 70 brings a lot of changes. And one of the most important things you can do for your happiness is to take a close look at who you keep in your life. This video isn't about blaming or shaming anyone. It's about giving yourself permission to let go of relationships that drain your spirit, keep you stuck in old patterns, or weigh down your best years. The truth is, some connections only bring negativity and stress, and learning to recognize them can help you move forward with more peace and confidence. In this video, we'll uncover 5 types of relationships that older adults should consider letting go of to avoid unnecessary misery. Each of these connections may seem harmless on the surface, but over time, they can chip away at your sense of well-being and self-worth. By the end of this video, you'll have the insight and courage to protect your happiness by choosing the people who truly support your journey. Stay tuned until the end because these lessons might not just change the way you see others, they could give you the freedom to shape the rest of your life with more hope, strength, and self-respect. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The chronic critic. There is always someone in our lives who seems to find fault with just about everything we do. As you grow older, you start to realize that carrying the weight of constant criticism can feel heavier than ever. The chronic critic is the person who rarely misses a chance to point out your mistakes, question your choices, or remind you of your shortcomings. You might find that no matter what you accomplish, they have a way of shifting the conversation back to what you could have done differently, what you forgot, or how you fell short. This pattern doesn't just happen once in a while. It's a steady drizzle that can wear away at your spirit over time. Most older adults can recall a family member, friend, or even a longtime neighbor who always seems to know best, always has a better way, or never seems satisfied with your efforts. Sometimes this kind of relationship is so ingrained that it feels normal, like background noise. But what makes the chronic critic so draining is that their words begin to stick. With enough repetition, you start to question your own instincts and lose confidence in your decisions. Even when you know deep down you're making the right choices for yourself. It's important to understand that criticism, even when it's dressed up as concern or advice, can chip away at your self-esteem. The difference between helpful feedback and constant fault-finding is how it makes you feel about yourself. A good friend or loving relative will build you up and offer encouragement, especially as you take on new challenges in later life. The chronic critic, on the other hand, can leave you feeling smaller, more doubtful, and sometimes even angry or resentful. Doctors and psychologists say that as we age, our emotional well-being is just as important as our physical health. Ongoing criticism can contribute to anxiety, depression, and a general sense of unhappiness, especially when you begin to internalize those negative messages. If you find that spending time with a certain person always leaves you feeling depleted, frustrated, or unsure of yourself, it's time to take a step back and reconsider how much influence you want that voice to have in your life. Letting go of the chronic critic isn't always easy, especially if it's someone you've known for decades. Sometimes it means creating more space, limiting conversations, or being clear about the boundaries you need. It's not about cutting people off harshly, but about choosing to invest your precious energy in relationships that recognize your value, your wisdom, and your right to enjoy this season of life without the shadow of constant judgment. You've earned that freedom, and the first step is to give yourself permission to walk away from criticism. That does nothing to help you grow. Number 2. The emotional drain. As you get older, it becomes easier to sense which relationships leave you feeling truly nourished and which ones always seem to leave you tired, worried, or even empty inside. The emotional drain is that person who, intentionally or not, seems to take much more than they ever give. You might notice that every time you pick up the phone or meet for lunch, the conversation circles back to their problems, their complaints, or their endless list of worries. While being a good friend or a caring relative sometimes means listening and supporting others, there comes a point where the balance tips too far and you find yourself playing the role of unpaid therapist, always offering help but rarely receiving it in return. Older adults often tell stories of relationships that have lasted for decades but have slowly shifted over time. Perhaps you have a childhood friend, a sibling, or a former coworker who used to bring laughter and joy, but who now seems to reach out only when they need something or want to vent about the troubles in their life. You might catch yourself dreading their calls or feeling exhausted before the conversation even begins because deep down, you know you'll leave feeling more burdened than before. It's not uncommon for emotional drains to resist any real solution to their problems. They may ask for advice but rarely take it, preferring instead to repeat the same stories of frustration and disappointment. This can leave you feeling powerless, as if your kindness and patience are being used up without ever making a difference. Over time, this one-sided dynamic erodes your sense of balance and drains the joy from what should be a healthy, supportive relationship. Experts in healthy aging remind us that emotional energy is just as finite as physical energy, especially in our later years. You have every right to guard your peace and choose how you spend your time and attention. Letting go of emotional drains doesn't mean abandoning those in genuine need, but it does mean setting clear boundaries and refusing to be pulled into a cycle that only leaves you feeling depleted. It's about learning to say no kindly but firmly when someone's demands begin to outweigh their care for you. As you reflect on your relationships, notice how you feel after each encounter. Do you feel lighter, uplifted and inspired, or weighed down, anxious and restless? The people who truly deserve your company are those who respect your limits, offer support in return, and leave you feeling stronger for having spent time together. Freeing yourself from the grip of the emotional drain gives you space to focus on your own happiness, passions, and well-being, a priceless gift in this chapter of your life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3. The manipulative controller. Every stage of life brings its own set of challenges, but few things undermine your confidence and independence. As much as a relationship built on control and manipulation, the manipulative controller is the person who tries to steer your decisions, shape your opinions, and even dictate how you spend your time. Often under the guise of caring for you or knowing what's best. It might be a longtime friend, an adult child, or someone you've trusted for years, but the subtle signs are always the same. Guilt-tripping, second-guessing your choices, or making you feel as if you can't manage on your own. For many older adults, the realization that someone is manipulating them can come as a shock. Manipulation isn't always loud or aggressive. Sometimes it looks like endless advice, constant checking in, or repeated reminders that you need help. Over time, this can make you question your own abilities and instincts, leaving you less likely to speak up for yourself or pursue what really makes you happy. People who rely on control often do so out of their own fears or insecurities. But the impact on you can be deeply damaging. What may have started as helpful support gradually turns into a pattern where your opinions are dismissed, your boundaries ignored, and your life feels smaller than it should. The manipulative controller tends to keep you in a state of uncertainty, always doubting, always explaining yourself, and often feeling trapped between your needs and their demands. It's important to remember that your autonomy, your right to choose, to say yes or no, to decide what's best for your own life does not disappear with age. Healthy relationships are built on respect, trust, and encouragement, not on pressure, fear, or silent resentment. As you grow older, reclaiming your independence becomes not just a personal victory, but a model for those around you. Showing that wisdom means knowing when to stand up for yourself, even in the face of emotional pushback. Letting go of a manipulative relationship can be especially hard. If you've been conditioned to believe you owe this person your time or loyalty, you may worry about hurting their feelings, stirring up conflict, or feeling isolated. But by releasing yourself from someone else's control, you make space for new experiences, healthier connections, and a deeper sense of self-respect. The freedom that comes from ending a manipulative dynamic is not just about physical distance. It's about relearning to trust your gut, to value your own wisdom, and to give yourself the chance to flourish without someone else's shadow holding you back. The most meaningful relationships you'll ever have in this season of life are the ones that lift you up. Honor your choices and celebrate your journey just as you are. Number 4. The fair weather companion. One of the quiet disappointments that comes with aging is realizing that some relationships only last as long as things are easy and convenient. The fair weather companion is the friend, neighbor, or even distant relative who is happy to be by your side during celebrations, good news, or times of success, but is nowhere to be found when you truly need support. These relationships can feel especially painful for older adults because they highlight the importance of loyalty, dependability, and genuine care. The kind that sticks with you through thick and thin. It often starts with small things. A friend who cancels plans when you need help moving. A neighbor who only calls when there's a party, or someone who is eager to be seen together in public but disappears when trouble comes. Over time, these patterns add up. You may notice that your phone stays silent during difficult periods, or that invitations seem to dry up when you face health setbacks, financial challenges, or emotional struggles. While it's normal for people's lives to get busy, true friends find a way to show up. Not just for the joyful occasions, but for the hard days, too. The hurt that comes from fair-weather companions is not just about missed gatherings or forgotten calls. It's the deeper sense of being invisible when you're most vulnerable or feeling like your worth is tied only to what you can offer, not who you are. It's natural to grieve these losses. And many older adults wrestle with the feeling that their circle is shrinking. Yet, psychologists remind us that the size of your social circle matters far less than the depth of those connections. Letting go of fair-weather companions is an act of self-respect. It means recognizing that you deserve relationships where loyalty runs both ways, where someone stands with you during the storms as well as the sunshine. Sometimes this process happens gradually. Perhaps you start saying no to one-sided invitations, or you stop chasing after those who never check in on you. With time you realize that your energy is too precious to spend on people who are only present when it benefits them. The freedom that comes from this shift is profound. When you stop pouring your heart into relationships that can't weather a little rain, you make room for the kind of companionship that is steady, patient, and deeply rewarding. You discover that real friends might be fewer, but they're the ones who remind you you're never alone, even on the toughest days. It's not always easy to let go, but as you step into this new chapter, you will find greater comfort, honesty, and security with those who remain. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. The never-satisfied comparative. Reaching 70 often brings the wisdom to know your own worth. But even the most self-assured among us can struggle when surrounded by people who constantly compare, compete, and leave us feeling less than enough. The never-satisfied compare is the person who always seems to have a better story, a bigger accomplishment, or a more impressive family member to boast about. Every conversation becomes a subtle contest. And no matter what you share, whether it's a personal achievement, a story about your grandchildren, or even your own struggles, the compare quickly shifts the spotlight, often leaving you doubting your own journey. Many seniors recall old friends, neighbors, or relatives who treat life like a running scoreboard. You mention your latest project or hobby, and they immediately recount how their cousin did it faster or with greater flair. You try to share a milestone, and they one-up it with a tale of their son's success or their own long-ago triumphs. Sometimes this competitive energy is disguised as playful teasing or gentle ribbing, but over time it creates a sense of distance and discouragement. What makes the never-satisfied comparing is that they rarely stop to celebrate your happiness or acknowledge your growth. Instead, their comments leave you feeling like you have to justify your choices, apologize for your excitement, or minimize your happiness. Psychologists say that constant comparison, especially in later life, can quietly chip away at your confidence and spark unnecessary self-doubt, making it harder to appreciate your own path. Letting go of this kind of relationship doesn't mean you wish ill on anyone. It means you're choosing to prioritize the friendships and family bonds that bring encouragement, warmth, and genuine joy. By setting boundaries and limiting your exposure to constant comparison, you give yourself permission to celebrate your journey. Cherish your memories and find peace in your own achievements, no matter how big or small. As you reflect on your life, remember that your value has never depended on outshining anyone else. True contentment comes from embracing your own experiences, honoring your story, and surrounding yourself with people who lift you up instead of holding you back. Letting go of the never-satisfied compare frees you from the race you never signed up for, allowing you to live with more gratitude, dignity, and happiness in this season of life. Final thoughts. As we come to the end of this important conversation, I encourage you to pause and consider which of these relationships might be holding you back from true peace and happiness. Have you recognized any of these patterns in your own life? Relationships marked by constant criticism, emotional exhaustion, manipulation, fair-weather loyalty, or relentless comparison. The truth is, letting go is never easy, especially when you've shared years, memories, or family ties. But releasing relationships that bring you more sorrow than joy is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of deep self-respect and courage. The freedom and confidence you gain from surrounding yourself with people who truly support, celebrate, and understand you cannot be overstated. This chapter of your life is yours to shape. You have earned the right to nurture only those bonds that reflect your values, honor your wisdom, and bring you joy. Remember, your best years are still ahead when you clear space for healthy, uplifting connections. Choosing happiness sometimes means saying goodbye, not with anger or regret, but with gratitude for what you have learned and the wisdom to seek better for yourself. Your worth is not defined by the approval of others or by holding on to what no longer fits your life. You are free to write your own story from this day forward, filled with peace, dignity, and authentic connection. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.